Okay guys, Timmy coming at you here, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over the hormones of the female reproductive cycle. First of all, a couple of things. Number one, as we know, the hypothalamus helps regulate hormones released from the pituitary. One of the hormones that the hypothalamus releases is gonadotropin, releasing hormone, and it's released approximately every 28 days. So that's released from the hypothalamus and has its action on the pituitary gland. And as again, the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland are connected by a portal circulation. So the hypothalamus is neural, pituitary glandular. That's going to stimulate the release of this hormone, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. And the function of follicle stimulating hormone is to act on the ovary to mature some eggs. So just so you know, a follicle is a cell membrane, basically, and then inside it, it has the egg. In this follicle, it has the ability to also secrete hormones. So a group of immature follicles under the influence of follicle stimulating hormone, they're going to begin to develop and mature. And once they become a mature follicle, those mature follicles are going to release estrogen and progesterone. Both estrogen and progesterone work to get the woman ready to become pregnant. It's primarily progesterone that will begin to thicken the endometrial lining. You want that thickened because it's very vascular. Progesterone makes it more vascular. So once you ovulate, that if you bump ugly with somebody and that egg happens to be fertilized, that endometrial lining is very thick and vascular to begin the process of making that baby. Estrogen then feeds back on the pituitary to cause the release of the hormone, luteinizing hormone. So you'll get this rise in luteinizing hormone about, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours before you actually ovulate. That's called the LH surge. That is also what is used to, in the ovulation kits to see when you're ovulating. So when you get this rise in luteinizing hormone, you know that you're going to ovulate. So what happens is the little egg that's inside this follicle, it binds to the membrane of the ovary, and then it ruptures and releases that egg. That egg then is brought up into the fallopian tubes, this wide part right here called the ampulla. Right in here. And that follicle that released the egg, so you're ovulated, that becomes what's known as the Corpus Luteum. And the Corpus Luteum is capable of producing estrogen and progesterone. this estrogen, higher levels than normal, will feed back on the hypothalamus and prevent it from releasing more gonadotropic releasing hormone, because it wouldn't make sense to ovulate again once you ovulated. So that's that feedback. The progesterone released from that corpus luteum maintains the thickened endometrial lining. So let's say that you kick it with your husband or your boyfriend, whatever. Right, Amanda?
Right.
Good. And you happen to get pregnant. Fertilization of that egg occurs in the fallopian tubes. Once that egg is fertilized, it will then travel, so you got this fertilized egg, travel down, and then get implanted into that endometrial lining. When that endometrial lining has gotten that egg that's been implanted, cells of the endometrial lining will begin to release HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. And what human chorionic gonadotropin does is it feeds back on the corpus luteum to maintain those levels of increased levels of estrogen and increased levels of progesterone. So HCG is found only when you're pregnant. So this is the pregnancy test. When you pee on a little strip and it turns blue, that means you're pregnant. So what happens if you don't get lucky because you were studying and reading the textbook? Well, with no fertilization of that egg, there is no implantation and no release of human chorionic gonadotropin. The result is that corpus luteum begins to degrade. And remember, the corpus luteum produces estrogen and progesterone. The result is you're going to get a drop in estrogen and a drop in progesterone. So progesterone and estrogen will drop if you're not pregnant. The function of estrogen, the high levels, was to prevent the hypothalamus from releasing follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. The elevated levels of progesterone is to maintain that thickened endometrial lining. With that no longer being released by that corpus luteum because it's degraded, no longer do you have the progesterone, so you will get your period. And with the drop in estrogen, then gonadotropic releasing hormone from the hypothalamus can start this process all over. So those are the hormones of the female menstrual cycle that you should know. Remember, HCG released when that egg implants into the thickened endometrial lining, and luteinizing hormone rises in response to the mature egg where it's ready to ovulate. So there you have it. Hope it helped. Good luck.